The Melbourne Grand Prix or the Australian Grand Prix has finally been commenced. Welcome back to the Pole Position Pod, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Um, yeah, I mean, great race, great first race of the season. Great start to 2026. We waited for this moment. I guess it's been 3 months, but we're back. Formula One is back, and we'll be here for every single race of the year. Don't worry, people. But first and foremost, on your way in, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. We're trying to get to 600 subscribers. Make sure you guys leave a comment in the chat as well if you haven't done so already. Or if you want to leave a comment, please do. And yeah, let's get started, I guess. I hope you're doing well, man. And yeah, great race to start 2026.
Yeah, big up the boys, big up everyone. Great show yesterday. And you're right. You say we've been waiting for this for 3 months, Ekevin, but it's been, I think, 3 years at least since we've known about these new regulations. We've been waiting for this day for a long time. And especially you being a Forza Ferrari fan. Last year, after Fred Vasseur and Co threw the white flag in, and they said they're going to give up 2025, solely focus, put all eggs in the basket for 2026. This was the long-awaited date. This wasn't the first day of school. This was the first day of college, Ekevin. This was the first day into the real world. That's what it was. And did it live up to expectation? Well, from a driving perspective, I think the drivers were miserable. It was unpredictable. It was volatile. It was more about managing battery rather than brute skill and ability. However, from a competitiveness standpoint, from wheel-to-wheel combat, we got a lot more wheel-to-wheel combat from top to bottom, especially that first stint where we got Mercedes, the outright favorites for this championship, going to wheel for wheel, band for band, stride for stride with Forza Ferrari, which is exactly what we all wanted to see coming into the season. But towards the end of it, we can clearly see a golf in quality, especially in terms of pure power. However, yeah, it was a fun race. I mean, across the grid, we had some uncertainty. What was it? We had 6 cars, Ekevin, a staggering 6 drivers not finish the race. And also, we had some nice skirmishes between Liam Lawson and Sergio Perez. No love lost there, alongside, of course, Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon, who are certainly no friends in their own way. So, Ekevin, all in all, I think Melbourne GP, successful, fulfilling. Was it the best meritocracy form of racing? No. But was it entertaining? Yes. And 100% we will take it. And if you're a Mercedes fan, the perfect start to the new regulations. If you're a Ferrari fan, well, you did what we set out to do, right? We said Mercedes were obviously going to have the advantage over the first 7 races, especially with that engine compression boost. Your job, just like when Max Verstappen won in 2024, when you have the fastest car, maximize your output. When you don't have the fastest car, minimize the damage. And Ekevin, that's exactly what Ferrari did today. They finished 3rd and 4th. That is objectively, regardless of the blunders that may have potentially brought them closer, that is what they needed to do, and they did.
I did call everything yesterday correct. I said Russell, Antonelli, Leclerc, and I said Lewis Hamilton's my outsider. Got it right. Got it spot on. Not often do I get these right in Formula One, by the way, people. Not often do I get it right. But at the end of the day, look, I just want to say, it's been great, to watch this race. I can't lie to you. I've not been. Obviously, you know me and Ferrari over the years. It's a toxic relationship. It's a toxic relationship.
Love hate.
I give credit to Ferrari where it's due. Like sometimes, we're not always perfect, but I think today we tried to maximize the battery. We tried to maximize the engine and the tires quite well. Albeit, I did think Ferrari made a slight blunder, where they should have pitted during the virtual safety car, and I do think that it should have been, it should have been done. But however, 2 things can be true. Maybe the engine wasn't good enough to get over the line. Maybe they weren't good enough to catch Mercedes. Because it was a really good start by Charles Leclerc. It was a really good start by Charles Leclerc. It was a very good start by Lewis Hamilton as well. Obviously losing places but gaining it straight back after the first lap or the first corner, the first 2 corners. Leclerc, I don't know what happened, but bro, from the start all the way to first, competing against George Russell, having trying to save his batteries, trying to optimize his tires, everything, track temperature. They did it perfectly today. Everything Ferrari did wasn't amazing, but I'd say for the sorry, not amazing, but it wasn't as 100%. But for me, the way the race ended, I can't complain. I can't complain because, like I said, it's all about race pace. It's all about how you try and maximize your limits, or not limits. Sorry, excuse me, tires. But there you go. I mean, they did what they could do. They may not have been faster than Mercedes, but I think the race went to plan. But it might be like this for a while. But do you know what? The battle was fun while it lasted. At the start to, let's say, the midfield or the mid or mid race, I'd say it was good fun. It was good fun to watch the battle between Leclerc and Russell. Albeit, like I said, Leclerc should have pitted during the virtual safety car. Still good, and I do think Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc should have swapped places because Lewis Hamilton was clearly the faster car. Leclerc wasn't going to fall down to fifth, but I think it was too late because had Lewis Hamilton, had they been told to swap places in the final lap, that'd have been very disheartening to Charles Leclerc because you're already almost at the podium. You're almost about to lose. You're about to lose points. Or you're about to lose a place. You're about to lose a podium place for the sake of, your second driver or the first driver this year, depending on what you consider. But that should have been done laps ago. And look, fair play. Charles Leclerc had a good race. Lewis Hamilton did very well as well. And can't complain. Can't complain too much. There'll be a few complaints, but can't complain too much. There you go. But obviously, Max Verstappen, climbing up from 22nd to 6th. For me, driver of the day. It's got to be. Because imagine gaining all that much ground, and almost made yourself a dark horse and an outsider for the top three. He was in and around that. He was getting closer and closer, and he came all the way from 22nd to 6th. Fair play to him. I think driver of the day has to be Max Verstappen. It's got to be Max Verstappen. I don't know if you agree or disagree, but 22nd to 6th is pretty impressive. I mean, you and I both called it he finished in the top 10 for sure, and you did say yesterday that he was going to be an outsider for a top 3, but I did say he wasn't going to finish in the podium because I just think the cars I don't know will be too fast, but he did a good job. So, but yeah, what do you think? You're on mute, bro.
Thank you for that. I do agree with you. I think I think everything you said, I completely agree. It was an eloquent summary, accurate as well. And you're right. Yesterday, you completely foreshadowed the macro results of this race. You talked about the top 3, hit it on the dart, nailed it, bullseye, whatever you want to call it. And then obviously in terms of the specific sequences of this race, we also called that, right? I said at the start, Ferrari will surge to the top. You had Leclerc blitzing from 4th all the way to 1st, very comfortably and conveniently. And then Lewis Hamilton as well. He did make a bit of a mistake at the start. He went a bit too wide coming out of turn 1. Had he not done that, his best start by far, I think, among all the drivers on the grid. Lewis Hamilton, real quick, probably had the best race among any driver. He was the fastest driver in terms of pure pace today. And even towards that final stint, while he was cutting the deficit to the Mercedes, Leclerc was losing time to them, despite being on tires that are 20 laps younger and fresher. So kudos to Lewis Hamilton, by the way. His most stable, his most sensational race so far as a Ferrari driver. But going back to the start, Lewis Hamilton and Leclerc blitzed their way through the pack. Hamilton going to 2nd at one point, Leclerc going to 1st. And then eventually, of course, when the dust settled, we had all the shenanigans with the wheel-to-wheel action. Russell and Leclerc, S tier level of wheel-to-wheel racing. Kudos to them. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful stuff completely. And then, of course, the VSC, the very, very controversial VSC at Kevin. I think there were 3 different instances where virtual safety car was out. Ferrari choosing not to pit, the only team not opting to pit in those instances at all. Did it cost them? Yes, I think it did cost them in the sense of time. They would have had a smaller deficit, and in a best case scenario, 10 seconds on the Mercedes. But even then, Melbourne Albert Park is a track that is predominantly power oriented, and with the Mercedes engine boost, whatever you want to call it, boost is probably not the engine on steroids. Their engine compression flapping up to 18 to 1 on track when it's supposed to be 16 to 1. That gives them extra 3 to 5 tenths a lap. That gives them 15 to 20 more horsepower a lap. What does that do, guys? That basically makes them indefeatable. That makes them untouchable. And towards the end of the race, despite being on a one-stop strategy, one of the few teams on that scarce, illustrious, elusive one-stop strategy, the Silver Arrows completely managed to avoid tire degradation. Did you notice that? 40 laps with those tires. We talked about Melbourne being a track that is draining inducive. They did not degrade. In fact, Kimi Antonelli was putting in faster laps.
Lando struggled big time with that.
Lando was having a nightmare with everybody was having a nightmare with those tires. Max had to do 2 stints. The Ferraris as well. They had to manage their tires a bit. Mercedes, full out, completely competent. And I would say one more thing. We talk about Ferrari. Had they pitted, would they have won the race? I don't think so. They would have been closer. Because I think Ferrari made the mistake of trying to optimize their race result.
They should have pitted with everyone else, to be fair. They should have pitted with everyone else. That's
1,000,000%. Ekevin, they would have been 10 seconds.
Because the only problem is Mercedes didn't do a double pit stop, and Ferrari would have done a one stop pit. Like how do you say it? They would have done a one stop, but at the end of the day, they could have done a 2 stop with the virtual safety car. That's where I look at it. The virtual safety car could have been where Ferrari sort of stopped twice, because it was 2 or 3 virtual safety cars, I think, wasn't it?
Yes.
Had Ferrari stopped in one of those or 2 of those, they could have gone back to the medium tires, and that's where Ferrari, are best at, the medium tires. They looked the fastest on the medium tires for me. The hard tires, they weren't gaining any pace. Obviously, the drivers behind them, they had to do like a double three stop race because their tires weren't able to manage their tires well, and they weren't able to manage their battery. Whereas with the Ferraris, I think they did what they could with the battery and the tires, because it wasn't as good as Mercedes, obviously, because Mercedes had the better compression, had the better engine, had the better battery. They have more endurance in the race.
Yes.
But this is where I think Ferrari should have done the pit stop earlier. That's the only error I think Ferrari made. But other than that, I don't think it's been a bad race. I just think with the tires, they could have maybe gained a bit more pace, because obviously Mercedes won the fresher tires right towards the end. Or not fresher, excuse me. This strategy worked because Ferrari pitted after Mercedes. People are forgetting this. Ferrari pitted after Mercedes.
20 laps after.
Mercedes pitted before. And that's where I draw the line. Because had Ferrari pitted earlier and Mercedes pitted just a bit after, both would have been on the fresher. Both would have had the freshest tires to compete towards the end of the race. We could have had a 4-driver race towards the end, had the pit stop strategy worked, or had the pit stops were on point. Had the pit stops been on point. But like I said, it's hard to really fault Ferrari. It's the first race of the year. I'm not really going to jump to conclusions just yet. Albeit I did say that there were times where they could have pitted. At the end of the day, it's hard to fathom. But it's hard to not say that they didn't do a good job. Leclerc, great start, and sorry, we'll continue.
No. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I was just gonna say, had they even done, let's just hypothetically assume Ferrari played the strategy card perfectly. Let's assume they pitted one of the 3 virtual safety cars. Let's assume that deficit, the 10 seconds they lost, they gained it. They still would have lost the race. They still would have been 3 and 4 at a best case scenario. Maybe Lewis Hamilton, given the amount of pace he was extracting, could have made it a fight. Leclerc seemed to have tailed off towards the end. Leclerc seemed to have a lot more issues with this new regulation. Hamilton's identity seems to be more injected into this car. But nonetheless, I do think that on a track like this, Ekevin, that Mercedes power dominance, that 18 to 1 engine compression is so lethal. It is so potent. It is so priceless. It is completely, again, it is mounting them a gap that is borderline insurmountable. But the good thing is, Ekevin, like you said, wheel to wheel with Ferrari's rapid race starts, Ferrari can keep in touch. In corners, Ferrari are a lot quicker than Mercedes, right? It's those straights. It's those durable. You mentioned the word durable. Absolutely correct. They are simply more dominant and durable across the track. But if you can keep up to them, if you don't give them track position, if you fight them rather than fight the outcome of the race, potentially on more track dominant circuits rather than power dominant circuits, Ferrari may not just compete with them, may actually be favored.
This is where you're spot on, bro. Because if you
When
look
am I
at
not?
where Charles Leclerc overtook George Russell, it was in the corners. He used the corners to overtake George Russell. I remember when George Russell lost time, or was it not he lost time? But I remember when George Russell first overtook Charles Leclerc to gain first position again. Charles Leclerc overtook him from the corner. He used the corner to overtake him because you know what it is. The car this year, like you say, is thicker, right? This year the cars are a lot thinner this year. Excuse me, they're a lot thinner this year, so it's easier to overtake in the corners. That's where the strength of Ferrari needs to be utilized. Just try and utilize that. Obviously, against Mercedes, we're faster on the straights, but then the engine of Mercedes will carry them to the line. And that's why I said the medium tires would have probably been where Ferrari have taken the race to the end. Even if Ferrari would have lost the race, it'd have been a lot closer with the medium tires, in my opinion. Had both teams decided to do the two-stop strategy. Because once the Mercedes announced that they were going to do one stop, the race was over. Because their engine was going to get them to the line, to the checkered flag. That's where Mercedes won the race, the one-stop strategy. Had they done a two-stop, they'd have made things a lot more interesting, for sure, a lot more interesting. But Hamilton and Leclerc did play very well. It was played into their hands. But continue.
Yeah, I agree with you, and that's the thing. Going into China next weekend, the problem is all the concerns we have about Ferrari versus Mercedes. The peak of that will be I guess revealed then, because if for those who don't remember, it's been over a year since we were at a Chinese GP, but China GP is like it's a tale of two tales, and the first sector is about it's really like if you're a snail. You're having to navigate those tight and tricky corners. Who does that play advantage to, Ekavin? Ferrari, right? The race starts in the corners. But Sector 2 is one of the longest straights in the history of Formula One. It is a complete long straight. Who does that benefit, Ekavin? Mercedes. So what does Ferrari need to do to keep up with Mercedes? In China, they're going to have one of those perfect race starts. And then initially in Sector 1, they're going to have to keep track position. Sector 2, manage the battery accordingly and defend for your fucking life. And then pit stops, be super, super precise. As long as Ferrari are there, they can absolutely compete. But at any given moment, if you give up track position, if you don't execute your game plan perfectly, China is a Mercedes dominant circuit. Ekavin, if you thought the Melbourne GP was a masterstroke for Mercedes, China is a statement. It's a foregone conclusion. That is a track almost made for Mercedes. Russell himself said this after the race. A few minutes ago, George Russell said that China will be a lot easier for us. So watch out for that. In the battle of Mercedes-Ferrari, Ferrari have to learn from the mistakes this week. Ferrari have to realize, yes, it's also about minimizing the damage, but also you can fight. You are closer than people think. Okay, you may not be as strong as them. They may be better than you by every single metric. But you have some metrics like corners, like starts. Capitalize on it. Capitalize on your strengths, mitigate the weaknesses, and eventually maul yourself to victory. But I agree with you. And apart from that, Ekavin, can I give a shout out to one driver in specific?
Of course.
Obviously, Max Verstappen, as you mentioned, Ekavin, driver of the day, no doubt about it. He blitzed his way through the pack, going from 22nd to 5th. Very impressive. That's Max. That's what he does. He's the best driver I've ever.
Was sixth, I think.
6, sorry, yeah, you're correct. Yeah, he was so close to pipping Lando Norris, but eventually the tires faded out. But shout out to rookie. Shout out to the only rookie on the grid, Arvid Lindblad, because that was a really, really impressive display, by the way. Some courageous, fearless, wheel-to-wheel actions. Him and Behrman, I think, were going stride for stride. Not only that, remember he was fighting Max at one point. He and Max were in a wheel-to-wheel battle.
He managed to fend
off
Max.
Yeah,
he did. Yeah.
So and he finished 8th. He got points in his first ever race. So that is super impressive. And by the way, the kid seems incredibly talented, incredibly smart, super, super mature beyond his years. So I think Lindblad has a very, very high future in Formula One. Shame, a real tragedy for Isaac Hadjar. Really, really impressive qualifying. Who knows what he could have done, but Red Bull engine kaputzed. And also shout out to Aston Martin Cadillac, having a lot better races than we thought they would.
No, I'm 100% agree. Because you could also go and look at where, Isaac Hadjar lost the race. I think it was trying to he was trying to he wasn't able to save up his battery or something, wasn't it? He wasn't able to control his car. I think he lost control of the race in one of the laps. I don't remember which lap it was exactly, but I think he lost control of it. It was actually the first incident of the race. It was actually the first incident of the race. Oh, we didn't speak about this as well. Just real quick, incidents. Oscar Piastri in his hometown, and I didn't even catch it. I didn't even know until I saw it. I was reading Instagram early before the race. I saw that Oscar Piastri crashed out prior to the race. It was not the formation lap, was it? It was the was it exhibition lap or whatever it was. I don't know what it's called.
We'll call it exhibition. I like that. Yeah.
Exhibition lap. He crashed out, and he wasn't able to race in his hometown. So it's a huge it's gutting for him for sure. And as well as Nico Hulkenberg. What happened to Nico Hulkenberg? He wasn't able to race as well for some reason. What happened? I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah, so Nico Hulkenberg had some issue. This is a very specific answer, everyone. Nico Hulkenberg had some issue with his engine, a mechanical issue. I don't know what the issue was specifically, but he couldn't start the race, unfortunately, which is a shame because he finished 11th. And given Piastri couldn't start, he would have been in the top 10. And then for Oscar Piastri, you're right. I think it was just a mix between not finding the right technical setup, team and driver issue, and also Oscar Piastri not managing to control the situation. Again, there's a lot of complacency and a lot of uncertainty with these new regulations because it's about managing the battery. And if that battery drains, and if you don't manage the electrical component, that is existential. That is fatal. If you can't manage that side, if you waste and harvest and use up all your energy, you don't harvest your energy, that is finito. That is, as Steph Curry would say, night, night. So Oscar Piastri, unfortunately, he wasn't able to get the right setup, the right system. He used too much. And also he crashed out for that reason, which is a shame. Second year in a row where the hometown hero suffers tragedy, right? Because last year, remember what happened? He was gunning for the race win, but then the rain came in, and the safety car came in, then he fell behind, then he barely got points. And had that not happened, he would have won the championship. So, yeah, man, Oscar Piastri, shame. Nico Hulkenberg, shame. But overall, W. Lindblad, super impressive. W. Liam Lawson. Shout out Ollie Behrman. Haas are currently best of the rest. They're 5th in the championship. Ollie Behrman and Haas, the Japanese team, the first ever race with Toyota. Sorry, go on.
No. Finish your point.
I was going to say, Haas's first ever race in the Toyota era, and they finished 5th. They look very, very solid with the Ferrari engines, of course. Overall, as a car, they seem to be the most reliable and stable outside the top 5. And Williams as well. Williams will be disappointing. Slow burner, as we expect. But for them not to have any relevance is, of course, pretty repulsive.
Yeah, man. I just wanted to say, I was gonna do my fantasy team, right? I was gonna make my fantasy team at the start of the race.
Sure.
I was just gonna do my fantasy team. I was actually gonna include Ollie Behrman in my thing, and Arvid Lindblad as well. I was gonna do George Russell. I was gonna do my ×2 on George Russell as well, but I didn't create my team in time. I was like 10 minutes away from the race, and the website had some error. I had to refresh it and restart. I was gonna put my ×2 on George Russell, which I would have won, by the way, easily. Which I would have won by a distance. And I don't know. I would have, but at the end of the day, it's what it is. I'm just gonna settle for what I got. I'm just gonna settle for what I got. But anyways, we might as well go back to the sister cars.
That's a shame, actually. But it's okay. I don't think.
Sorry.
I was gonna say that's a shame, but to aid your worries, I don't think many people are playing F1 Fantasy this year, so you're okay. You didn't miss out. No dig whatsoever, but you didn't miss out.
No. I didn't. But at the end of the day, like I said, I made that mistake not to do it, but it's all good. It's all good. I would have got points for the ×2. But listen, We good. Back to the sister cars. Back to the Racing Bulls and Red Bull. Both of them. I'm gonna say this right now. From what I've seen so far in today's race, if I had to give my ranking for whose car is the fastest this year, Mercedes number one.
Absolutely.
Actually, faster, Ferrari. And durable, Mercedes. Faster, Ferrari. That's how I see it. Because Ferrari looked a lot faster.
Can I jump in?
Go on.
I don't know if they're faster. I think pure pace as a technical car, they're better, but Mercedes are objectively faster because their power unit. I think you have to say Mercedes are the faster car, but Ferrari are the quicker car. Does that make sense?
Kind of. Yeah.
Faster as an overall result, Mercedes come to the line first, but Ferrari as a car, not the power unit.
They're more durable.
Yeah, they're more durable and dominant.
So Mercedes, Ferrari. I'm saying Red Bull number 3.
Mm-hmm,
I think McLaren had a few issues today that they will resolve that later down the line. I'm saying Red Bull. I'm saying Racing Bulls number 4, and I'm saying McLaren 5.
I don't know about that one.
I think Racing Bulls look good. Arvid Lindblad looked really good as well. Obviously, like I said, it depends where you finish. If we're looking at pace, pure pace, Racing Bulls look really fast. They look very fast, man. I'll be real with you. And it's not something I think would happen. I thought they would be battling for like the midfield, like the lower mid table. But they look good to start. They look good to start 2026. I can't lie to you. Racing Bulls look very good to start this year, and like I said, Arvid Lindblad had a very good race for a reason. So like I said, they've got some potential over there. They've definitely got some potential over there, and they've definitely got some. They've got something going over there at Racing Bulls. So expect a lot more from them this year. That's what I would say. I'd expect a lot more from them this year. And who's the second driver again?
Liam Lawson.
Very good races from both of them. Did what they could do. Optimized their tires, maximized everything they could. Fair play to them. Give credit to Racing Bulls. But Red Bull though, yeah, Isaac Hadjar, man, big disappointment. Because you'd think that he'd be one of the drivers in the top 5 this year, or not this weekend. Going into this weekend, I think he'd have finished above Max. Call me crazy. I think he'd have finished above Max this week. Next week it's a different story. I think they'd give Isaac Hadjar the benefit of the doubt because of it's his first race for Red Bull, and they might just say, all right, you finish here, Max finishes there. You swap places with Max just for this weekend. I think he just wasn't able to maximize his tires and his engine. Was it like a mechanical failure? I don't remember what exactly happened, but it was like a mechanical failure, wasn't it?
For Max?
No, for Isaac Hadjar.
Yeah, it was a technical failure, not on his part. No.
Yeah, so he wasn't able to finish the race. That's what I'm saying. If he was able to finish the race, I think he finishes above Max for this weekend.
Yeah.
Next weekend, different story. Different story.
I agree.
Big up Lumen, bro. Big up to you. Anyways, let's continue.
Yeah, can I jump in real quick? While you were talking about that, I was looking at some quotes and some sentiment from the paddock, and a lot of the drivers in the paddock are criticizing these new regulations. Everybody is, even the front runners. They're saying these new regulations are too artificial. Charles Leclerc said it's like he has a mushroom in Mario Kart. That's what he said on radio, by the way. George Russell and Max Verstappen himself said this was Mario Kart. We were basically playing Mario Kart, right? With this manual overtake button, with the boost button, with the battery button. It was basically Mario Kart. It wasn't about who is the fastest or best driver on the grid. It was who obviously built the best mechanics and who could play Mario Kart the best. So that's what it really was. And that is, again, from a driver perspective, obviously concerning, right? When you have someone like Verstappen and Alonso, they lust to be legendary, right? They lust for the legacy, they lust for the victory, they lust for meritocracy, to be the best, to prove they're the best, to be the winningest. And this format does not allow them to unleash and harness the best traits within them, right? Whereas from an entertainment perspective, Mario Kart is entertaining. And if it wasn't for this Mercedes, obviously, dominance, if Mercedes didn't exploit that loophole remarkably well, kudos to them, we would be having one of the closest, most entertaining seasons in a long time. So, have these regulations been a success? No, because you want to manage meritocracy with entertainment. You want to balance them out. But again, it is from a fan perspective, like George Russell said, we're getting some entertainment, and that is encouraging. And to go back to your point about Max and Hajar real quick, I agree with you, Ekevin. I think it would not be surprising to have Hajar finish above Max, but even when Hajar was in the running, Max was just lapping much faster than him. So I think Max would have eventually ascended beyond him. And then when it comes to the fastest teams, I think if we were to make a tier list about this, you would put it into four different tiers. Tier one would be Mercedes. With their power unit, they're gaining 3 to 5 tenths a lap extra than the other teams inherently. So Mercedes are in a league of their own, and especially like a power dominant, one of the longest straights ever in China. Yeah, good night if you don't combat that effectively. So in terms of a tier list of the fastest teams, Mercedes are tier one, Ferrari are tier two, Red Bull, McLaren tier three in that order. Tier four, you would have VCarb, you would have Haas. Tier five, you would have Audi. Tier six, you would have Aston, Cadillac, and Williams. Williams above them. That's how I would designate the order of the grid. I'd put it into 5 to 6 tiers. And if you want to consolidate it, Ekevin, it's 4 different tiers. It's Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, McLaren, the midfield teams, and then it's Cadillac and Aston Martin.
Yeah, Cadillac weren't able to battle today. Like they just didn't.
They won't. For a long time, they won't.
Aston Martin as well. Like their engines just looked completely out of control. Like they just weren't able to finish the race. And you're right. Like when you say, actually no, sorry. I'll say this. I think it'll take Aston Martin at least 10 races into the season for them to get back on track. No pun intended. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, yeah, properly get back on track, because by the looks of things, they might as well not even be on track. They might as well not even race. Their engine looks completely just gone. They have no pace. They can't overtake. They're last place on the grid for a reason right now. Alonso and what was it? And his second driver was it Bortoleto? Was it not Bortoleto? Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll. They weren't able to finish the race. But like I think it'll take 10 races into the year for them to get to really get racing again this year. I think it'll take 10 races for them to really fix their engine. Next race you expect the same. Third race expect the same. Onwards from there. If they can get it sorted, then you might as well start from the bottom of the barrel, because you're already you can already take a 20. I can't even talk. Sorry. You can already take like a 20 grid penalty. You can already take like a last place penalty.
That's a very good point. Yeah, if they're gonna stay last, might as well just get 40, 50, whatever.
You might as well make the upgrades next race to start from the back, because you're already at the back anyways. You might as well start from the back of the barrel. You're already there. You might as well take the penalty and go from there. You know,
basically do what Apex GP did in the F1 fell.
Pretty much just do what you can do. Like, try and upgrade your car for next week or the week after, because like I said, you're already last. There's not, you're not losing anything, you're not gaining anything. You're gonna stay. You're gonna be stuck there with Cadillac. You and Cadillac are at the very, very back. So yeah, that's just what I think on those two cars. Williams, it's hard to speak on the Williams. I mean, they did what they could do. They raced up until lap 34, I think. What was it? Carlos Sainz had to get out of lap 34, and he was able to retire the car. Another one, Williams. Another one where you start at the back of the barrel. You need to make the upgrades necessary. You, Aston Martin, need to make the upgrades necessary sorry, Cadillac. This is their first year, so I'm not gonna jump to conclusions with Cadillac yet. But like Williams and Aston Martin, you need to get your shit sorted. Get your shit sorted for next week and the week after, because Carlos Sainz is a very good driver, and you're gonna waste his year not making upgrades necessary for him to race. He's a good driver, very good driver. You're gonna, and I don't want his year to get wasted by him not how do you call it? By him not having a car good enough to race, So make the upgrades and get back on track. Both those cars. For the rest of them, Haas decent, weren't bad. Decent year.
Very good. What's the rest?
Decent. McLaren, they got a lot to do. McLaren have a lot to do. I mean, they are the champions, but your driver's champion is already calling out shit that he's struggling. He was saying on the radio that his tire, he just wasn't happy with it. He wasn't happy with the tires. He wasn't happy with the engine. He sounded like he didn't want to be there. Even what was it? George Russell was saying something at the start that the battery wasn't very, very good at the start as well. Apparently.
It was drained. It was dead.
It was drained.
That's why
at
they
the start.
off the line.
Yeah, so I think there's something going on that we don't know, because all the drivers don't seem happy with it. But to be honest with you, as a fan, as an F1 fan, as an someone who's entertained by this, I actually enjoyed the overtaking today. I don't think it was actually that bad. And to be honest with you, I'll say this: why does there have to be an overtaking button? Just, it doesn't have to be like, Mario Kart where you have to press this overtaking button for you to overtake. Just remove it. Try and race without the overtake. That's what I think. Like, cause the overtaking button's is a bit overused, isn't it? Like, you have to keep press overtake.
Yes.
Like with like 1 second behind. Like, I don't get it.
But to play devil's advocate, and it's a fair concern, I think the overtake button is among the least of the problems, because without that button, a team like Mercedes would never get overtaken. That overtake button gives you extra speed.
They're complaining about the overtake button, aren't they? They were complaining.
No, they're complaining about the whole package. Especially that's one part that exacerbates it, like a mushroom in Mario Kart. But also, it's the battery mode, right? If your battery is drained, you're dead. You're finished, and that isn't real racing, right? In real racing, there's fuel. It's more about your fuel than your battery. You don't have to worry about your battery as much. And if your battery is dead, you're just slow. But in this one, if it's dead, it's fatal. That's the problem. It's a lot like Mario Kart, where there's not just a mushroom, but there's also a blue shell. There's a blue shell there, and that's kind of holding the drivers back. Sorry, go on.
No. I just wanted a bit of clarity. So, I mean, the battery is a bit of a concern, especially depending on the track where you are, where you're racing. Battery is battery is something you need to be very, very careful of. Because they're now showing, because you know what it is? They're actually showing the battery now on the screen. And Lando Norris's battery was not good. His battery was draining like crazy. Even same with, what was it? Who else was I going to say? Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
His battery was draining like crazy as well. It depends on where you're racing. It depends on the track, especially in China. It's gonna be hot. It's gonna be hot over there, isn't it? It's gonna be hot over there next week. So the battery's even gonna be worse next week. So be wary of that. That's what I think. What are you gonna say? You gonna show me something? You're on mute.
Oh, sorry, I don't know why I'm on mute. I was gonna say, you're right. You said Max and battery. That was the first thing that came up on my feed when you said that. Basically, Max said he started the race with no battery. He used up his entire battery during the formation lap. So one thing you said earlier on is, again, there's something that we don't know. I agree with you. It's not that we don't know, Akivin. I don't think the drivers know either, because George Russell, Max Verstappen, Lando Norris all used up their battery in the opening lap. The only people that didn't were the Ferrari drivers. Everyone else was struggling. Everyone else was on the back foot to begin with. And I think the other thing about the battery is Lewis Hamilton came out and he was asked, does he think that Ferrari can compete with Mercedes? Can they claw the deficit? He said, absolutely. I'm very confident. We have a good race car in the corners, especially on the race starts. But we don't understand, is it purely their power, which is the dominant force, or is it their battery? So my point with mentioning all this, Ekevin, is you're right. I agree with you. But when you say it's we, the fans, we don't know what's happening, you're right. It's also the drivers don't know what's happening either. There's a lot of confusion and chaos within the grid itself. That's what's creating entertainment for us, right? That's why it's enjoyable for you and me to watch. But for a driver driving it, it's fun, but it's like going to an arcade rather than going to the pinnacle of motorsport.
I don't mean to sound disrespectful at all. Don't take this into context. If the Bahrain Grand Prix has been cancelled, the FIA needs to use that weekend as a weekend to maybe host a drivers' meeting.
I agree.
If things don't go to plan, because it, like I said, it depends like how the regulations are and how things go come that week. If that week, yeah, every other driver is still complaining about certain things that need to be addressed, then FIA needs to use that weekend or use the back-to-back weekends the races will be cancelled to host a meeting with the drivers and the teams to properly discuss what they want to do going forward and make the changes necessary, because I don't want this race to go. I don't want it to be ugly. I want Mercedes to have a clear dominant year.
Yeah.
You know, I want it to be close. I want it to be entertaining. You know, like it was at the start. It was close. It was entertaining with Ferrari and Mercedes competing at the front. You know, at the front row. You know, if things are not going to go to plan, by fifth race or sixth race, change it up. That's what I think they should do. Change it up. Make the changes necessary to make it a fair competition. You know, I don't really hear much complaint from Mercedes because Mercedes are winning, right? But it's the back of the barrel. It's like the midfield and the mid table. You know,
but even then,
it's the ones from McLaren, Red Bull.
It's every team but Mercedes.
Pretty much, yeah.
But even then, Mercedes are also complaining in the sense they're saying this system is more. Not complaining. Yeah, it's more they find this style of play very arcade-esque rather than actual racing. But Ekevin, the point you mentioned, by the way, 100%. That is such a good point. No one has mentioned that yet. I haven't seen a shred of anyone suggesting that idea. If the Bahrain GP is cancelled, if Saudi Arabia is cancelled, from March 29 all the way to May 2nd, there will be no Grand Prix. Ekevin, there will be no racing for a month and a half. Because the only races next month are the Middle East races, by the way. Yeah. So next month, we're not going to have any racing. Under the current circumstances.
Unless they replace it with one of the old tracks or something like that.
They've already confirmed there will be no replacements.
Oh, wow.
So if the Middle East, if and when they don't happen, which is looking very likely, given the volatility there, even if there is a supposed peace deal reached, then we will have no racing for the next month. Confirmed. And I think that is such a good opportunity. And that would be 3 races. And before the Middle East races, we've had Australia, we have China next week. In 2 weeks' time, we have Japan. Then we have a month break. That's such a good opportunity to talk to the drivers, discuss that, hey, it's entertaining for TV, but how can we make sure it's safety is being prioritized while also quality and meritocracy is being unleashed? I agree with you, Ekevin. Great idea.
Yeah. And I did say this as well, that a lot of drivers are not going to finish the race today. There's going to be there's going to be a bit of debris as well, because the track gets control the car on the track. It wasn't really good control. Like some of the drivers, some of the cars, especially Fernando Alonso's, or was it someone's front wing was destroyed. It was damaged, and or was it Pierre Gasly's front wing? I couldn't remember what it was.
It was Sergio Perez.
Sergio Perez's front wing, yeah, exactly.
Fall off.
His front wing was damaged, and I did say yesterday there was going to be a few red flags, but luckily there was no red flags today. The only red flags that were the complaints by everyone else. That's it. Yeah. And No, look. At the end of the day, there's always going to be concerns after race one, and like, I mean, race one is where you really see that what's actually happening. Different places, different weather, different conditions. Of course, you've got to consider that. But if we're looking at this weekend, nah, I mean, there was like 7 drivers that didn't finish the race this week. It was like 14 drivers raced till the end, or something like that. I don't remember how many it was.
So it was only 5 drivers who didn't finish the race. A lot less than expected.
I thought there'd be like, you know what? What's the most that has never finished a race? Like 10?
That's a good question. It must be just under 10. I'll say 9. Most drivers
I'll say 10. Must have been like many years ago or something. And
yeah,
by the way, this is the first time Mercedes have had a 1-2 without Lewis Hamilton since 1952 or something.
No way, that's crazy. I believe you. That's just crazy.
Did you hear about that? Crofty was saying something on the radio. Or not on the radio, on the commentary. This is the first time Mercedes have won the first race of the year without Lewis Hamilton since 1952.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, Hamilton's been synonymous with Mercedes, right?
In Australia, I think. Or, yeah, it was in Australia, I think.
In general.
Yeah.
Because Mercedes were only winning races consistently in 2014 when Hamilton came in. Of course, not correlation causation alone. They were building a very fast car anyways. But still, real quick, the answer, Ekevin, is a lot worse than we expected. It is in the 1996 Monaco Grand Prix. Only 3 of the 21 drivers finished.
3?
That's crazy. I would love to watch the highlights for that.
So only 3 drivers ended up winning the race or finishing the race.
Yeah, and one of the 3 drivers was David Coulthard. Yes.
Was he racing for Ferrari at the time?
I don't know who he was racing for. But yeah, just 3 finishes.
Insane. I need to go back and watch the highlights. Seriously, I need to do that as well.
Yeah, I want to say what happened, who crashed. Michael must have been racing there as well.
Michael Schumacher?
Yeah, Michael Schumacher. So, that's crazy.
I remember one of the races.
So basically,
I remember one of the Grand Prix in 2021. Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, all the top drivers crashed out. I remember one of that. Like all the top drivers that crashed out. I think it was like 6 drivers that crashed.
Hungary, right?
Yeah, 6 drivers. I think 6 drivers crashed.
Wasn't it the Hungary Grand Prix? It was.
And I think Checo Perez won the race.
Yeah, it was the pinball effect in Hungary.
It was a pinball, and Checo Perez won the. It was. I think they just raced the final lap. That's it. And Hamilton.
Yeah.
Not Hamilton. Sorry, but they raced just the final few laps, and Checo Perez won the race. I think Carlos Sainz came second, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember.
Maybe it was either Hungary. That was Singapore or Hungary, one of the two. But real quick, that race in general, Ekevin, you'll recognize many of these names. Basically, there were a couple of drivers who crashed out at the warm-up lap. Jos Verstappen, Max Verstappen's father, he crashed out in lap 1.
Yep.
Michael Schumacher hit a wall in lap 1. Martin Brundle spun off into the barriers into a casino. Damon Hill was leading. Well, no, not into a casino. That's a bit clickbait. Rather next to the casino.
Oh my days.
Damon Hill, you might remember him. He's an analyst on Sky Sports. He was leading by 30 seconds. His engine blew up randomly.
Oh my.
Jack Villeneuve, he collided while trying to pass, I think, in the tunnel.
Was it raining?
That's a good question. I hope it was. Yeah, heavy rain.
Okay, then that makes sense completely. If it was just a random Monaco, I'd say bin Monaco off completely. You know what I mean?
But Ekevin, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It was 6 cars crashed out on lap 1 or before lap 1, including the 2 Ferrari drivers as well, Michael Schumacher as well, which is crazy. I would love to watch the replay. That seems hilarious.
So we ended up finishing the race. Coulthard, Kimi Räikkönen.
So it was Oliver Panis who won the race. Started from 14th and won the race, basically because he was one of the few drivers left. Coulthard in second.
Against David Coulthard. That's crazy.
Against David Coulthard and also against Johnny Herbert third. You might remember Johnny Herbert.
David Coulthard should have won that race, man. He should have won that race.
Yeah.
Because he was the best driver out of the 3 for sure.
I agree, but that's the thing. We talk about today, and big up, Kyle. Nice to see you in the chat as well.
Yeah, man, big up to you, bro. Make sure you guys subscribe to Football Overseas people. Subscribe to him. Big up to you, bro.
And 100% Mercedes dominance. We all expected it. Nice shout. I was going to say, this is a good game plan for Cadillac. Because while you talked about Ekevin, Cadillac trying to start the back, with the uncertainty with these regulations, right? This is the biggest ever change in F1 history. This is Mario Kart mode. You just being in the race alone, you might get into the points just winning, just staying in the race. Like Ekevin, just finishing the race alone. Who knows? They might catapult into a high position.
Yeah.
Don't you agree with that?
We saw it with Max. Max went from 22nd to 6th for.
Yeah, but even then, like just finishing even around the bottom, if you're in the race still, you can be in it to get some points. Imagine a Monaco rain with these new Ekevin, imagine when it finally rains with these new conditions, with these new regulations. What the fuck is gonna happen?
If it rains, I think the races should be cancelled if it's raining. If there's rain, and all things considered, if these regulations are not gonna, if you can't manage these tires and you can't manage the battery in the rain, cancel the race. Because we're looking at rain, I think, in between Netherlands, Belgium, and Silverstone. I think these 3 races will be the one where rain is going to be definite. So that's going to be something that they need to consider. I think, like I said, Bahrain, and what's after Bahrain?
Saudi Arabia and Bahrain.
If these next 2 races are cancelled, FIA need to really host a meeting with the drivers, with the team, to really discuss what they should do going forward. For their sake. For our sake, it's entertainment. I'm enjoying it. But for their sake, their safety comes first at the end of the day. We're the ones watching them race. If they don't feel it's safe to race, that's on the drivers. You know, their safety is their priority. You know, our priority is entertainment. What are you going to prioritize? Their safety, right? Because they're the ones driving. They're the ones entertaining us. You know, so you got to prioritize them. And I think it's time to really look at what could be done going forward for them. I think Mercedes will also sustain this post the summer.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I think potentially, but then, like I said, summer, a lot can change in the summer. Cars can make upgrades, and we could see a huge change. Do you know what? Excuse me. Dare I say?
Whoa. Trying to pull an Oscar Piastri, Ekevin.
Sorry, I tapped my keyboard. Sorry. Dare I say it? Yeah. Aston Martin and what's it called?
That's too funny.
Aston Martin and what's it called? Williams should use those weeks to make the upgrades. Because what's the whole point of going a whole month without racing and then coming back and still being the same? You know what I mean? Yeah, man. Big up us, the Blue Paul, Oscar. Yeah. Same. I feel it, man. That's sad. What happened to him? Because I didn't see what happened exactly, but I think he spun out and crashed into a wall. From what I saw, and even Nico Hulkenberg, isn't it? That he wasn't able to.
Nico Hulkenberg had a mechanical issue. Real quick, can I jump in on what Kyle said?
Go on.
Yeah, Kyle, I agree with you. I think Mercedes will absolutely have the pace throughout the entirety of the season. Now, whether that pace is supreme,
how can Red Bull do a race of crashes? That's a funny question.
Yeah, how could that? I mean, we just talked about a race that had 19 crashes. So, I don't know. I mean, compared to that, it seems quite nullified. But you're right. Real quick onto the Mercedes point. Speaking of the master of Mercedes, the architect Niki Lauda, and I'll answer this in about 30 seconds. Mercedes, given that this engine upgrade, this engine increase, this engine boost, this 18-to-1 engine compression, this gap, this loophole that they've certified, that they've capitalized on, it will be nullified after the Monaco Grand Prix. And given how Ferrari were today, in a track that is a little bit more favorable towards Mercedes, you would expect proceedings to get closer. Hamilton is already, when Lewis Hamilton is confident, Lewis Hamilton is the litmus test. If he is down, usually that means he's at an average race or worse. When he is upbeat, you know he is confident. You know the eggs are in his basket. You know he has the autonomy to dictate his own destiny. So, yes, Mercedes will still be powerful. They will still be contenders and favorites. But this total gap, China next week will get worse because China Sector 2, that is one of the longest straights ever. But after that, after Monaco, it will get a lot even. Red Bull have a good team. McLaren have also already announced that they expect to be in the competition by the summer break, after the summer break. So, yes, Mercedes may sustain their contendership. I agree with you. But their dominance, this unmatched outright 2014 to 2016 dominance, nah, I don't think so. And now to the second question here. Will Middle East races go on to the US Grand Prix? No.
Don't
The FIA have already announced that if the Middle East races are cancelled, which is very likely, they will not be replaced. They will simply be.
He's asking if the Middle races go on also the USA Grand Prix. He's also asking if the USA Grand Prix. I think they will. Yeah, they will go on for sure.
Yeah, so with the US Grand Prix, well,
the World the World Cup's going on in the summer, so it's gonna happen. So
yeah, and this is one of the reasons the war will probably not prolong, because from a reputation perspective, again, the war is designed for a bunch of shareholders, corporations, and oligarchs. I won't get political. The World Cup coming up, it would hurt them if there is a war during the World Cup. So when it comes to the US Grand Prix, when it comes to the World Cup itself, there will not be the prospect of existential back and forth war. The USGP will be okay. The US are not being harmed on their own soil, so they will be okay. And but next week for next month's races, Ekevin, I personally do not see them having races in the Middle East. I know cash is king, but for that alone, there is a lot of volatility. And even if there is a supposed peace deal reached, I don't think F1 would take the risk, given that Dubai, Saudi Arabia, these places, Bahrain, Manama is being hit wave after wave. I don't think you take the risk yet.
Ferrari and Mercedes must step up this season. The engines are good. My strategy, if I was Mercedes, I would look on ways to sustain the engine. It's the battery. The battery they need to be careful of. The engine is fine. The engine's not the issue. It's the battery.
I think that's what he's saying. Yeah.
No, it's. I think you mean battery, don't you, Kyle? I don't mean engine. I think you mean.
No, I agree with you, Ekevin. You're 100% correct. You're right. That's what they need to focus on, harvesting the battery more efficiently and sustainably. But I think what Kyle is saying is they need to find a way to sustain this gap even when the new regulation comes into effect. So in June, whatever the date is, that new regulation kicks in where it must be 16-1, when static, when on track. Mercedes need to find a way to maintain this margin in spite of this regulation change designed to target their superiority. I think that's the point that Kyle is trying to make.
Fair enough.
But you're right. That's a really good point on the battery. 100%.
I think we said a lot of our points on the race already, unless you have any more to add. I mean,
I personally don't know.
Who's your driver of the day?
Good question. Of course, Max is the no-brainer. I'll give three options. I'll say Max is one. Lindblad is the second one. I was utterly impressed by him. To finish in the points above his teammate comfortably, and also to comprehensively be in that region, go wheel to wheel with Max, defend him quite admirably, and also take on some drivers, make some nice overtakes. Lindblad for me up there. Also, shout out Sir Lewis Hamilton, because that was, in my opinion, undoubtedly his best drive so far coming to Ferrari.
Yeah.
You can see that this is a Hamilton-oriented car. He was comfortable. Not for 1 second did you have that doubt that he wouldn't finish within the top four. And he drove almost a flawless race. Of course, the start, supreme, bar that exit of turn one, going a bit too wide. Apart from that, Lewis Hamilton was very, very effective, very efficient, and he was definitely faster than Charles Leclerc. And in other circuits that are more oriented to his needs, the car's needs, I think Hamilton will definitely be a contender to win races. I think surely this is the year. In the next few weeks, Hamilton will get on the podium. And not only that, I think he will win races for Ferrari this year.
No, I mean,
I don't know if you...
I think he can. I just think, you know what, I'll make my last point, yeah, and I'll wrap up in a bit. I think Lewis Hamilton was it was one of the points in the race where I think he went on a bit too far. I think he could have taken the pit stop. I think he's a bit arrogant at one point. I think it was arrogance for me. But you know what?
Hamilton?
I don't think it was bad arrogance. I think it was arrogance in a good way. That he's now finally taking control of his teams and stop listening to that.
Actually, can I correct you?
Go on.
yes, he's taking control of the development. I agree with you. But in terms of the pit stop, if you read the audio message, he said
Did
that
he-
he wanted to pit.
No, but then there was one time where he said that during the race, "Don't pit me yet. My tires are doing fine." Like there was
No,
times
no.
where he was at that.
Yeah,
Do you remember that?
so what he was saying over there is,
Ferrari, sorry, I still think that Ferrari should have taken the pit stop though, even though
yeah,
Lewis said that. But I like to see a bit more command, and Lewis is doing that. I like the command, but at the same time, for what I said earlier, the pit stop should have happened still, regardless. But it's good to see Lewis finally properly managing his tires much better than last season. You know what I'm trying to say? Like it's a bit refreshing in a way.
yeah. I don't want to cut you off. I agree with you.
No, I'm done.
I totally agree with you, Ekavin. But I think in terms of the pit stop, that was the one area of disagreement. Hamilton did not get what he wanted. Hamilton wanted to take the pit. I think that the point that you're referring to was when Ferrari asked him, "Are you ready to pit after the VSCs?" Hamilton said, "My tires are fine. You can pit me, but just don't pit me when Leclerc is coming in." I think that's what he said. I think that's the point that you're referring to, right, Ekavin?
Yeah.
And then Hamilton was like, "No, if Leclerc goes in, I ain't going in with Leclerc. I'm going after Leclerc." So
No, I think he
the
also said,
arrogance.
"Don't box me yet. My tires are doing fine." I think he says.
Yeah, so it was in conjunction with that, and I agree with you. I think it's the right kind of confidence and command you need.
The decision making was a bit poor. I like the attitude, but the decision making was a bit poor.
No, but if Lewis had his way, he would have pit during the VSC.
Because he was the faster car towards the end. Don't forget.
But Ekavin, yes, but
could have
he
been.
was the fastest man on track. But if Lewis had it his way, he would have pit during the VSC. He would not have pit later on.
He would have pitted later on, but then at the end of the day, it was a right. It would have still been the right thing to do if they had pitted before, because the tires would have been fresher. They pitted after Mercedes, way after Mercedes did, and that's where Mercedes gained advantage. That's where the strategy. That's where I said Ferrari though. It is one team who messed up on strategy, it's Ferrari, because they had a very good start. It's a very
Same old Ferrari.
It was a very promising start, and that's what I was saying. Like, if they can start well and manage their strategy, then I think they can win the race. I think this is where they lost it with the pit stop decision. With the pit stop decision. With the pit stop decision that they made down the stretch. That's where I draw the line.
I agree.
That's where I draw the line.
Yeah.
But like I said, the pace was there, everything was there. First race of the year. We'll see what happens in Beijing. We'll see what happens in Beijing.
Can I show a graphic?
Go on.
Yesterday I showed a graphic about the margin, qualifying margin. I think this is an equally as impressive graphic. Take a look at this.
45 overtakes.
Last year.
120 this year.
Yeah. So in terms of entertainment, the new regulation certainly hit the check on that one.
Wow. But then Kyle here says, "I'm going to have driver safety." So am I, and I'm sure they are as well.
Yeah.
I'm surprised on how well the rookies are doing. Yeah, I mean, Arvid Lindblad did very, very well. Had a very, very good start to the race. Had a very good start to the year. Another rookie we haven't spoken about is what's the other one again that we haven't spoken about?
Is there another rookie?
I think there's only one.
Yeah, I think he's the only pure rookie this year.
It's only rookie. It's only rookie this year.
But I think he means in general, guys like Bortoleto and Behrman, they both got in the points. They both elevated above the veterans, and I think that was very impressive.
What happened to Albon, man? Huge shame.
Just the whole Williams car is discombobulated, man.
We'll expect Lewis to always take the lead or dominance despite Charles being number one. I think last year I said that Lewis was going to be the second driver because of Charles Leclerc's experience in the Ferrari seat. Lewis Hamilton would have joined Ferrari in the first. Sorry, in 1 year, maybe he can take the number one seat. But for me, the number one driver last year was Charles because of, like I said, his experience in the Ferrari car. He's been in the Ferrari for much longer. Lewis had to take a back step and just say, "All right, I'll let you be the lead driver this year. Next year, when I would have done 1 year with Ferrari with the new regulations, I'll take command." I think Lewis has to take more command this year, be a bit more of a leader. So yeah, enemy to Ferrari is success to themselves. 100%, 100%. We've said this many times on stream. Wasn't watching. I ain't waking up at 5 for Mercedes victory. Fair as I hear you.
Can I?
You'll see more. You'll see more this year, though. You'll see more races this year. I think next week you'll see the Chinese Grand Prix, so you'll be able to. Yeah, go on.
Can I answer Bossa Blue's questions on how were the races?
Yeah.
So how was Charles and Lewis's race? Well, actually, I think Ferrari did a lot better than they expected. They were definitely the closest team to competing with Mercedes. If you're watching the highlights, the stint one, they were neck and neck, as expected, off the line, the fastest, the only team that really managed their battery correctly. They could have been faster, but Leclerc jumped from fourth to first. Hamilton as well. From seventh place, he jumped all the way to second. He went a bit wide at the start, but eventually he made 2 overtakes on that first lap, recovered very well, was on George Russell's tail, and towards the end of stint one, both Leclerc and Hamilton were 1 and 2. Ferrari were quick. They were the quickest through corners, the quickest off the line. The issues for them were, of course, pure pace, durability, Mercedes in a league of their own, right, with that powertrain upgrade. But Lewis Hamilton, towards the end, that third stint, they should have pitted earlier during the VSC. They didn't. But that third stint, he was the fastest man among the front runners. He was Lewis Hamilton. This felt like a Hamilton-oriented race. Leclerc was pulling back. Audi and Cadillac. Audi were impressive.
Cadillac not good. They didn't start well at all.
To be expected. Audi impressive, right? Gabby Bortoleto getting in the points. Audi looked like among the best of the midfield.
But Hulkenberg didn't race. It's just Bortoleto. Hulkenberg didn't race. Hulkenberg got mechanical failure at the start of the race. So, as I guess you mentioned earlier, yeah, man, tragedy. What did you think about straight line arrow?
I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting. I think the problem with this is, I think with the whole straight line issue and the whole straight line arrow, it's the whole setup of the car is too arcade-esque. It's too arcade-like. I think that's fundamentally the problem with it. But it's not a problem. It's, again, the cars in general aren't as quick on a straight line. They aren't as fast as they were last year. I mean, look at the times this year compared to last year. Even in qualifying, I think they were a couple seconds off their scores, their lap times from last year. But overall, I think it's Mario Kart. That's what the drivers are calling it. It's Mario Kart, and I would tend to agree with it. I know you said, what do I think of it? But I agree with how the drivers are describing it. It's at the end of the day, Akavin, I'm sure you align with this consensus. I think it's Mario Kart. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. A lot of the drivers have been saying that, so I can only go off what they're saying, because they're the ones on the track. They're the ones racing. We're only watching on television. We don't know exactly what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know what they're saying to their teams fully. We only know briefly, what can be recorded on the radio. We don't know what the full team need. We don't know what they're saying completely. Straight, active, rear wing arrow on lap 1.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think teams are going to have to design it very precisely. That's one of the reasons Mercedes are dominant. That's one of the reasons Ferrari are good off the line. What do you make of it, Bossa Blue? Because I think in general, because it's obviously 50-50, right? 50-50 electrical, 50-50 natural. It is causing controversy, but they are realms to be exploited. That's what I would say. Yeah.
But yeah, I think we've covered everything. We've covered a lot what we wanted to say. I've already mentioned Lewis's point. I was going to mention something else as well. But yeah, good race from all of them. Kimi Antonelli second. Good race from him as well. Did a good job, especially coming back from his start of the race. P7. He went down to P7 and came straight back up to second. So fair play to him. Utilized his pace at the start, and yeah, got what he needed to get.
But I think, Akavin, that's also a testament to the dominance Mercedes have. I think the fact is, Mercedes, even though Antonelli made some slip-ups, and again, you talked about that rear wing arrow, you talked about the battery as well. Even though they have some slip-ups, they weren't able to optimize that. He clawed his way back quite comfortably, relatively quickly. And of course, I think Mercedes still had fuel to the fire. I still think they had more in their arsenal, more in their tank to actually dominate. So I think we'll see more of that in China next week. Bossa Blue likes the idea we tune in. Yeah, I agree with you. They had this for the most of the first stint. You're right. But that's the thing. Ahead of China, the thing that Ferrari need to make sure is that first stint, those tricky turns and corners, you have to gain track position. You have to be rapid, and you have to manage your battery efficiently. If you do not have track position and you allow Mercedes to get a bit of a gap with that long sector 2 straight, it is a good night, goodbye. Mercedes, George Russell 1 and 2 with Kimi Antonelli.
No, I agree, and I agree with the competitive racing, but at the end of the day, driver safety comes first, right? Like I like competitive racing. Trust me, it's fun to watch, but driver safety comes first. That's how I see it. And if you want to, possibly you can join us on the next show if you want to as well. You can join us on the next show to discuss. It'll be great. It'll be great to chat to you about F1. We haven't really spoken about F1 yet. We've spoken about football and many more, but we'll speak about F1 if you want to the next race. Next race will be what, next weekend?
Yep, China. It's sprint. It's a sprint weekend. So we're gonna get a Saturday.
Sprint next weekend, isn't it? Sprint.
So we do a show Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Friday is sprint preview. Saturday is race preview, and Sunday is race review.
Yeah.
So we got 3 shows in a row. Make sure you guys.
The timing. I don't want to interrupt you, but the timings would be similar to today's show.
If you want to, we can do a lot more we can do a lot more midweek shows this week, this season as well, because you know why? A lot of which will be we can discuss what the preview is for the midweek, like a little midweek talk if you want to as well. If you want to, anything, let me know. I'd be down.
Yeah, I mean, if the people are for it, I love the idea.
Just pre-race, anyways. I'll be back for the next race. All right, man. I'll see you for the Right Number Run pod on Friday. I'll see you for that on Friday, because we got the match preview for the Aston Villa game. I'll see you there, bro. Anyways, guys, make sure you guys, first and foremost, on your way out, hit the like button, subscribe, turn your notification bell so you don't miss the video or you don't miss a live, uploads, and everything. Apparently, super soft tires are just not good anymore. They only used the medium and the hard tires today. It wasn't no soft tires in this track.
What the quickest compound, the C5? I mean, we didn't even talk about tires much today. Soft, medium, hard. I think that is quite on a side one to jump on your point. That is quite indicative of how the new regulations are. We're not even talking about basic race strategy. We're talking about all these intangibles with the regulations, which is super interesting.
I think the hard tires have more grip of the race than the medium with the soft tires, because obviously Australia's a track where, you know, a lot of accidents happen on like the first few turns. Like we saw it today, a few of the debris happened because, you know, they weren't able to control the race. But there wasn't much debris. But if we're talking proper like grip of the race, I think medium and the hard tires is the one that, you know, you need to use for this one. The soft tires in Australia, I don't see it working. Maybe in the Chinese Grand Prix, we'll see. Some cars might test it out in qualifying or whatnot, but we'll see. Subscribe to Sport. You're so close to. Oh, bro, you're close to 1K, man. Let's get you to 1K ASAP, man. You're close to 1K. Big up to you, man. And Kyle will be here for the shows next week. Oh, you think the car was built for endurance like that? I think Mercedes was. Mercedes was definitely. The endurance of Mercedes is definitely there. You know what I mean? But the rest of the cars is where we discuss. You know, they're gonna have a proper meeting with the FIA hopefully very, very soon. I don't expect Mercedes to be in the meeting during the break.
Well, no, I think they have to be in the meeting. If they're not in the meeting, then there would be a clear bias against Mercedes. That would be like outright unequivocal bias. Bossa Blue, I think the overall issue at heart is entertainment perspective. It hit, and you're talking about things like competitive racing. We're getting that, like the graphic I just showed. Over 100 more overtakes this year compared to last year in the same Grand Prix. But the problem is for the drivers, they live for that competitive wheel-to-wheel meritocracy, quality based on pure ability. They don't want to be determined by Mario Kart systems like the mushroom or the blue wheel. They don't want to be determined by the battery, for example. It wants to be more on merit. And this is going away from the DNA of Formula One. And it's rather a hyper-commercialized arcade affair. Now, that's fun for us, but for the drivers, it's not as fun. From a safety perspective, I think the FIA tried to prioritize safety over quickness, but they failed with both of them, right? Because these new regulations cause so much uncertainty, it's creating unpredictability when it comes to safety. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it's balancing the competition, but also the control drivers have over the cars too.
I'll be real. We're not gonna brush that one on the carpet. We've spoken that one already. I think Lando Norris had the issue with his battery. His battery was draining like crazy.
But
So yeah.
but Akavin, that issue, I don't want to interrupt you. That issue with the battery isn't a issue before the car. It is just inability to manage these new regulations. So it's more about Lando and McLaren having to find the right mode rather than the issue with the car. I agree with you, Kyle. I think it's sports in general. I know Boss of the Blue. We can attest to this with WWE as well. It is too commercialized. It is too corporatized. It is really for the capital rather than the competition itself. And the other problem with sports today is the refereeing. I think the refereeing in general. We talk about the competency of refereeing, but universally across all the sports, I think the rules are just too ambiguous. They leave too much room for error, and there is so much lobbying and vested interest where the outcomes of matches are being influenced by certain actors pushing agendas. I think that's the problem.
But for me, no, I agree with you wholeheartedly, man. We can't really complain. Can't really disagree. But yeah, I think we said everything we need to say. 47 subs to 600, guys. Hit the like button on your way out. If you're new around here, like I said, hit the like button and subscribe. Notification bell on so you don't miss the video. I don't like the idea of having an engine hybrid simply because more likely than not teams it'll get working.
Yeah, no, exactly. This is the problem. It's too Mario Kart-esque rather than the best team, the best driver.
But yeah, anyways, thank you guys for joining as well today. Next week, see you guys again next week for the F1 show. Friday, back live for the sprints at Beijing. See you guys.
I'm sure we'll do a sports talk soon as well.
100%. We'll definitely do a sports talk to recap the first month of Formula One as well if you want to and everything.
Sure.
Like I said, 47 subs, 600. Like the video, subscribe, and we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys next week. Also, I'm back live tomorrow. I think for the not tomorrow. Yeah, is it tomorrow? Yes, tomorrow for the Champions League preview. So see you guys tomorrow for the Champions League show and whatnot. If you guys want me to do like a solo live, I might do like a solo live sometime soon this week if you want to, like just to answer your questions about sports and whatnot. Big up, bro. Congrats, man.
Congratulations, man. I'm thrilled for you.
You can relax now, man. Also,
Plan A.
Hopefully, India win the World Cup today. T20 World Cup today. You know what I mean? We got to win. Must win. See you guys very, very soon. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you guys.
The feeling is mutual, man.
47,600. Sorry, you saying?
I was going to say, Boss Blue, the feeling is mutual. We love the love that you guys give in the chat.
Yeah, man. Big up. See you guys very, very soon. Nah, man. Come on, bro. Cheer for your roots, bro. We all got to cheer for our roots, man. In India, man. I don't know why you don't like your roots, bro. I mean, we all got to cheer for our own roots. But anyways, see yous. Peace. Forza Ferrari.